Greetings from the tavern and welcome to the second and final day of Lobby Legends Raid Leaders, the first ever official esports event for Hearthstone Battlegrounds. My name is Gia, and once again joining me to bring you all of the action is Battleground streamer extraordinaire Slissa. Slissa, are you ready to see who we are crowning our very first Lobby Legends champion today?
I am so excited. We have 8 amazing players, and I'm just really looking forward to this first ever Czech format in Battlegrounds. So it's going to be an awesome day ahead of us. Maybe a short day, maybe a long day. Who knows?
It is very true. Super different to yesterday, where we did have a very structured schedule of Lobby A playing out 3 games and then Lobby B playing out another 3 games. And then we had our top 4 from each advancing on towards today. But now we are entering the Czech format, which, if we could just reiterate what Sottle was mentioning, is that this is now not scheduled in any way, shape, or form. We still do have our point system where players will be slogging it out to try and get 20 points first, but it is a dual stage process to try and become the champion. Could you go a bit more in depth, Slissa?
Yeah, so dual stage, meaning there's 2 conditions. Condition 1, you need to hit that 20 points. Once you've hit 20 points, after that, you need to get a first place. Once you achieve a first place after gaining 20 points, you will be crowned the champion.
Indeed. It means that no matter how we go out on the day, no matter who is the champion, it will be them having to get a first place to end the day on a high. It's going to be very high tension here. We expect some slight changes to the meta, and we honestly cannot predict just how long it will go. We do have a minimum of at least 4 games to be played and a maximum of 11, but both of those extremes are just a fraction of a % chance to happen, and more likely we expect somewhere from 7 to 9 games to be played out. But Slissa, I honestly wouldn't mind if it goes all the way to 11.
I wouldn't either. Yesterday was so fun. I just wanted it to continue. So I wouldn't mind sticking around all day and casting more Battlegrounds. I'm very excited for these games.
That's right. And we do have the same point distribution that we featured yesterday, which is completely linear. Like you said, no premium for the first place or the finishing in top 4. It's just increments of 1 for every placement that you go up. So I would imagine that for the first few games, before anyone has gotten the lobby in check, we should be seeing a pretty similar meta to yesterday. Do you think that it's going to change, however, once we get someone in check?
Yeah, I definitely think it will only change once somebody is in check, because then they're going to be targeting that person to make sure they don't get a first place. And then in the meantime, they need to be getting their 20 points so that they can put the lobby into check. So they're going to have to be very aware of who is playing what hero and who they need to be targeting. Yeah, it's going to be very exciting.
Right, and because there is no like big jump in points from, say, going from first to second, no, it's just increments of 1, I do think there's a very high likelihood as well that we could have several players entering check position at the same time, maybe around the 4th lobby, maybe around the 5th. And what our players will be playing for is, of course, a $50,000 prize pool here, where sadly half the field has already gone out yesterday with $1,250 in their pocket. But for everybody else, there is still a lot of money on the line here. Of course, the champion, the first one to win after being in check position, is going to get $10,000. And after that, we kind of stop the count. The points will be set in stone there, and that will determine who will get 2nd through 8th.
Yes, very exciting. 10K on the line.
Yep, I am super excited to see just how our players will be conscious of each other, whether or not they're able to sacrifice some of their own long-term potential just to get somebody in check to be a bit weaker for that game. But we can see the recap from yesterday. We started off with Lobby A with Zoinyu, one of the early favorites from Latin America, taking a very convincing victory with the Exodia Pirates.
Yep, and Educated Collins you could just see they're so excited as he's making his way into 2nd place for the first game of Lobby A, and Pampada in 3rd place for our APAC region. Now into game 2, when we see Summer on Arana going the new Arana build with Murlocs, but yet again Educated Collins on the Lord Bear off, just destroying players in the lobby and able to get another top 2.
Yeah, there was a lot of deja vu in that second lobby with Ponpada, Zoinyu, and Collins all going on the same hero. But it was only Collins that was able to replicate that good result from the first game. And then we do see Ponpada taking a win with probably our favorite endgame comp that we saw all day with the triple golden Peggies. Very creative stuff. And because of it, he ends up being the lone Japanese representative that's still standing out of 4. Over in Lobby B, though, we started off with Goddammit very impressively taking a third on Edwin, which is generally considered a very bad hero, but it was a dragon showdown at the end here between Be Nice and Hoff. Any thoughts on some of the other players in the lobby?
Yeah, we were kind of counting out Ken and Kurt in the early games, but Ken and Kurt make a turnaround. You can see here, Kurt picking Mr. Bigglesworth over Gallywix, which was a surprising pick, but a correct one, as he destroys the lobby with Mr. Bigglesworth, his cat around him the whole time, encouraging him to play his best on the cat. And second place, our Chinese player Hoff on the Millhouse, playing a fun Bran Hogger Peggy comp.
Very fun stuff. I got the chance to take a look at some of the co-streamer VODs, and we actually had Collins join RDU at one point in the game commentary, and he actually mentioned that the cat pick over Gallywix, he definitely sees the reasoning behind it. And I wonder if a bit more of that niche sort of thinking is going to come into play later in the top 8. But over here in Game 3, we did have the final 2 come down between Goddammit and Ken, which had us all on the edge of our seats because Goddammit was very, very close to sneaking his way into the top 4 of that lobby, but ultimately took a loss here to Ken with a very creative mech build with the ground shaker. And I say that's creative because I don't often see that on Millhouse, which prefers to keep buying instead of rolling.
Yep, and because Goddammit didn't get that first place, he lost to tiebreakers. He was tied with 2 other players to get into the top 4, but with our tiebreakers being whoever has the most first places, and then followed by whoever has the most second places, Goddammit ended up in 5th place, barely missing out on our top 4. So for Lobby B, we are going to see today Be Nice, Kurt, Ken, and Hoff, I believe.
Yes, that is
yes.
right.
Hoff got 2 second places yesterday.
Exactly, and the pan out from Lobby B means that we have broken our even representation pan out that has started since the beginning of Lobby Legends, where we had 4 players from every region represented, and in every lobby, 2 players from each region. However, now that we're down to the final 8, there are more Americas players than from any other region here. We have Educated Collins, Ken, and Kurt. You must be so happy about this, Lissa.
Oh, I am thrilled. I have been, I've been very vocal that I think the Americas are the best at Battlegrounds, and then we won the Global Invitational because our Battlegrounds team was undefeated, and now just seeing that in this tournament where there was no invitations, all qualified base, mostly Americas players, making me proud.
Absolutely, but a big shout out to Bayou and Hoff as well. We're at that same invitational. It seemed like China were playing on a very, very different meta game, but we see these 2 players very adaptive and willing to try and learn different strategies, and they've absolutely proved that China's scene is evolving and it's very strong at the moment. We do have Babofat and Be Nice from Europe there in the middle. Be Nice, I tuned into his stream a little bit earlier today as he was reviewing some matches and talking about maybe shaking off the nerves going into today. Just a very, very positive member of the community. I'm happy to see him represented. And then the lone APAC player standing is Ponpada from Japan, who has been lauded by many, many strong players in the BG community the world round as the best player in the world. I think early on in the Battlegrounds community scene, that was very true. He was just winning every single tournament he competed in, but this is going to be his biggest hurdle yet. I cannot wait to see how this pans out, Slissa. We have 8 amazing players. We have players who are willing to pick cats over Gallywix. What do you think is going to be the way that we see this tournament pan out? Any hot takes about what's the winning hero after somebody has it in check?
Mr. Bigglesworth, obviously I'm going to go with that, or Patches. I would love to see a Patches gameplay where Patches takes first. So yeah, I think a lot of interesting heroes will be seen once we have the lobby in check. I want to point out that we went through some of the players' scores from the first stages of qualification into the semifinals, and Pampada has the highest average of placement, 2.7. So Pampada is winning in that kind of tournament sense. He has the best tournament showing so far. Right behind him is Be Nice and Kurt, or Ken and Kurt. So yeah, these are some of those like really highly efficient tournament game players. Be Nice having the most first places though, and first place matters. Some players struggle with those first places. Babofat has only gotten one first place through any of the qualifications and yesterday combined. So they have to be able to get a first place, and right now I'm seeing Be Nice has the most first places so far in this tournament. Unfortunately, I don't have any of the Chinese players' information from when they qualified, but using what we have, Be Nice is a favorite.
I'm glad that you brought up how first places matter, because they absolutely still do today, but perhaps in a different fashion than they did yesterday, because the order of which you fulfill the two conditions to win this tournament matters here. Even if you get a first place, if you're not at 20 points yet, or if that's the game that gets you to 20 points, it does not mean that you automatically win here. You need to get 20 points, no matter if that comes from very consistent middling placements across many lobbies or a couple first places. And then after you hit that 20 points or more threshold, that's when you need to get a first place to finally lock out the game here. We are clearing any misconceptions right now, because the rules are not something that we're necessarily used to seeing in Battlegrounds, but I have no doubt that it is going to create a lot of tension and high octane competition towards the end here. We talked about Pampada a little bit. He is known as the Battlegrounds alien in Japan, or the alien from the Battlegrounds planet, I've heard. And one of the Japanese casters actually tweeted out a little like comic that he drew of Pampada sleeping in like some sort of alien pod as he charges up his energy to play today. I am very, very happy to see that there's so many players who have their entire community rallying behind them. And in the case of Educated Collins, they have one very biased caster rallying behind him.
No, he has a lot of people rallying behind him. Just on Twitter today, he was so amazed by how many people were supporting him. So it's not just me. Maybe I'm swaying a few people, but I think he swayed them on his own. We are now checking out the hero selection. Hoff being offered Ragnaros next to Secret Hero. I'm not going to say the name. I'm just going to ruin it.
No, that's fine. It's honestly a close choice, because I like Ragnaros' spot in the meta right now, but we can see here that mechs are out of the lobby, and that is a minion type that Ragnaros really benefits from, having Divine Shields, Mecharels, like double Deflectobot with Rag is a very, very consistent way to finish at least third, in my opinion. But we do have Hoff on the Akazamzarak, which is also a hero that I feel can pretty consistently make it through to top 4. There's so many different scam comps you can go for with it. I do feel it suffered a little bit with the loss of Mayaxna, because that's one of the best minions that the secrets can benefit from, with splitting image and auto defense matrix, etc. But Murlocs are still in, so the Akazamzarak can go for poison, which is very strong without mechs in.
And do something crazy with splitting image Amalgadons and have them summon many times using Chadgar, as I call him. Chadgar, nice little splitting image combo. But we have to point out that there are no beasts in this lobby, and what a lot of people like to do with the Akamizarak, I think I said that right, is using the Macaw as a way to proc the buddy. So that's one thing to keep in mind. And looking here at Educated Collins playing Omu, he was not offered a token turn 1, which is necessary for a clean level. So he has to make a decision here. Is he going to level and waste 2 gold, or just get 1 roll and 1 minion and kind of do more of a Jeef curve or a standard warrior curve?
Pretty close here. I mean, there's no minion in the shop that really has that much more stats if you were to sell the rock pool and immediately replace it. So I was looking at potentially just buying here or rolling and then buying, but he settles on the Wrathweaver, and on the next shop hits double Wrathweaver and a demon. So that looks like a pretty good opener here for Collins. But I want to draw your attention, Sosa, to the hero choices here, where honestly this overall power level of the lobby looks a lot lower than what I'm used to seeing. There's so many C to D tier heroes, I want to say. Like Vol'jin is still very strong, but maybe less so without Mexin.
And Beast. There's no Cave Hydra early for that crazy cleave. So while they do have Chroma Wing options and Quilbur options to get the early scale to place big stats on the Vol'jin buddy, which is kind of the current meta, there's nothing really to transfer those stats over to besides, I mean, there's elementals and dragons, but what you normally see, cattail, is the Cave Hydra or the mechs. I'm super happy that Soddle listened to me. I did complain yesterday that there was not enough cat appearances and that Kurt needed to be shown when his cat was present. We need to find out the name of his buddy over there who is playing with him.
We're barely a few minutes into the cast and I'm already 100% distracted. Kurt, why do you gotta do this? But I mean, if anything, it makes sense why he picked Mr. Biggles over Gallywix, which is considered by a lot of people to be the greatest hero right now. He just can draw out the power and full potential of the cat here. And also, he has the double Chroma Wing start with a potential triple in the shop. Now, Chroma Wing is a decent minion to get buffed with the Mukla. Obviously, it's not an ideal Mukla lobby without mechs in, but there's still demons and you can get some value with Trickster, which paired with Chroma Wing actually just is a lot of stats. You have the highest attack scaling minion and the highest health scaling minion on tier 1. However, all of these Chroma Wings being here for Mukla makes me worried for Vol'jin. Did he manage to get any from the pool?
I was like, yep, he's holding them off so Vol'jin can't have them. I love this play.
Early is now griefing.
Yep, look over there, Boba Fett on Vol'jin, not a single Chroma Wing in sight. I think he's a little angry over there. You see he stayed on one going the warrior curve, and that's usually done so that you can find specific minions that are tier 1 and try and triple them early because you're staying down, getting the best opportunity. Just none. Just because Kurt has frozen them all. They're mine.
I love how we can just call this out and then Soddle shows us, meanwhile, in Vol'jin for 2 seconds, a complete drought of Chroma Wings. For Kurt here, a little bit of an interesting decision as to how he wanted to approach this curve. It's very rare that we see players level to tier 2 on 6 gold. Doesn't necessarily fit many curves other than the Rafam curve, which is something that is available to Mukla in particular. But the timing of when he takes the triple, I will be very interested to see a bit later on. But over here, Bayou on the Elise with a pretty efficient start, lots of stats going on. He has this elementals, lots of economy. It could be a decent lobby for him to go a bit greedier because, like we said, there's very few high power ceiling heroes here.
Yeah, a lot of tempo heroes and like a random Syndragosa. I mean, I'm curious to know what Ken's options were. But I mean, Syndragosa is pretty safe, just kind of like Daryl. But I just, I guess I haven't played Syndragosa enough to firmly say I would pick it at a tournament.
Oh man, I was hoping you would save me there because at least you were a Rat King enthusiast. Yes. I am neither a Syndragosa player nor a Rat King player. No. Hopefully Ken can prove us wrong a little bit. We do have Bayou over on tier 3 by 7 gold, which is where all the 3 different curves we sort of discussed seem to equalize once again. Again, it's all about the timing of when to take the triples here. And based on the minion types that are out, are you thinking people are going to go for 4s or 5s or even 6s?
Without beasts and pirates, I'm thinking 4s and 6s. But I also want to point out here that Boba Fett has stayed on 7 gold is normally when warrior curve double levels to 3, but Boba Fett has decided to stay down again in search of maybe Chroma Wing or I don't know. He tripled into a 2-drop and has refused to level. So that is interesting. Be Nice last minute leveling to tier 2 as Daryl. So we should expect that Be Nice has done a little bit of dancing over there with Daryl, likely on a Trickster or a Chroma Wing because there are no mechs in the lobby.
Kind of a relief for Boba Fett that at least he takes the tie here, but he is staying on one this long to find the Chroma Wing because, finally gets one. because every level you take without a Chroma Wing is in some instances just lost stats here, because you don't have infinite tiers that you can go up to keep doubling the attack on the Chroma Wing. So he finds it, I want to say, at the last possible moment where it's reasonable to stay on tier 1. And now it's about trying to get the return on investment. The buddy will come to hand next turn, and that means that he can swap the Chroma Wing stats onto the buddy and then regenerate the attack on Chroma Wing. But how do you feel about Vol'jin's general power level now after they've changed the buddy to copying only, or rather letting only the left minion copy instead of left and right?
I think he's still very good. Obviously, just not as broken. It's going to be a lot slower. It's a tier 4 buddy instead of a tier 3 buddy now. So it is a lot slower, but as long as they are stable in tempo in the early game and not taking damage, they can get there. So again, Vol'jin was busted before. Now he is still much playable, but not in a scary sense. Over here on Bayou, he is not tripling, just using his map because he is Elise, and now his maps only cost 1 gold. Looking for some synergies here. Not much getting a big Fernal, but has a triple on board, so likely will be going for a 6-drop next turn. When he has 9 gold, takes 10 to level, just needs to sell the Elemental level and get an early 6-drop, and we'll have the money to go for a 5 with the map, because Elise's buddy allows for only a 1-cost map, which is just super good.
That's right.
Back when Elise was broken, her maps cost 2. Now her maps cost 1.
With the buddy, right? Yeah, at least definitely able to get a big power spike turn. I want to say this fight was very unfortunate for Bayou. His biggest minion with a lot of health that could have taken a bunch of value trades just straight away went into the Chroma Wing. So he does end up taking more damage than expected, but still very much enough health to greed out and take the 6-drop here with the triple. I would not be surprised if Bayou just went straight up to tier 6 next turn, especially now that he has a Kalagos as well. He obviously has the strongest end game setup out of all the players we've seen so far, but can he capitalize?
Yeah, so the reason we've talked about this yesterday, Kalagos just isn't that great of a minion right now. But with Elise, the buddy is feeding you minions of your tavern tier. And once it's golden, the buddy feeds you 2 minions of your tavern tier. So dragons is a very good minion type to go as Elise, because they can feed you Kalagos, Amalgadon, or Nadinas. And you can just stack them all up and just knock your whole lobby out. And I think our player realizes that and is going to be going hard. But over here, Ken with the Syndragosa tripling into Mithrax does have quite a few minion types. So this is looking good, but is it enough?
Definitely looks like good stats for now, but this is my concern with Syndragosa. Once those first 3 to 4 turns have passed and you've gotten the value from your hero power and you have more stats on average than then, the hero power falls off really quickly. I feel like the additional stats you get from that don't matter too much. However, he did manage a triple on the refreshing anomaly, which I assume all 3 pieces of that got hit by the Syndragosa hero power. That's why it's so buffed. And maybe he can leverage this tempo into a good enough position to power level and try and keep up with Elise. This looks like enough stats to still win the fight here versus the Mukla.
I think it's interesting that he took the Terragosa and just rolled away the Promo Drake, which is the pair to Terragosa to giving all those good buffs. The Terragosa will still grow because of the Trickster on board, but that's just showing us that we think he wants to stay with this menagerie build, more leaning towards the Mithrax as opposed to the Dragon build. And over here we now see the Chroma Wing has given the stats that they gained over to the buddy. So you see that buddy on the second minion has 98 attack and has given their 98 attack to the Cyclone. So now he's going to be looking for new Divine Shield minions or Cleave minions, which we don't have in this game, so never mind, to give them more stats. Picks up a Gem Splitter, so obviously knows he's going to be trying to force some Divine Shield gaming, looking at this Argus as well to protect the Gem Splitter. Finds a triple, though, in the refreshing anomaly.
Yeah, and on 5...
It's not in Macro.
Good hits without the mechs, but he could still get some Quillbore synergy, right? Agam, I think, is still viable from this position.
Definitely. A 98 attack Deadly Spore.
Yeah. Amazing. That's double poison.
not quite what he's looking for. He's going to be giving this attack and health to the minion in the shop to eat his trickster. Maybe.
So not much better he can do with this. Not really hitting Divine Shield minions in the shop. Even a Bronze Warden you would take at this instance. Another Crackling would be amazing. But again, like you said, no cleaves available, so Vol'jin's overall power level not quite so high. But the most interesting thing I find about Vol'jin is sort of like the rhythm of the copying, because I feel like you need to switch the Chroma Wing stats to your buddy, and then at some point you need to put the buddy left of the Chroma Wing left of the buddy so that it gets the attack back, and then you can level again. We saw that this turn he's not necessarily putting the stats back, so he's maybe hoping to stay on tier 4 a bit longer. But switching over to Hoff's perspective, he has the buddy now with a Baron, which is a very good opening setup to get those scams going.
Yeah, it's very much what you're looking for. There's no Macaw because there's no Beast, but getting the double secrets every turn is going to be important. Then once that buddy triples, they're going to be getting 4 secrets every turn. A lot of scams, a lot of long terms. And Educated Collins goes out in 8th place with a Kalagos and Nomi in hand. Not sure what was going on there, but that is a huge bummer for Educated Collins going out so early in the game. I believe we're around turn 8 right now, which can happen with a greedy hero like Omu, who over levels a bit, got to tier 5 just too soon and hit someone that's power spiked.
Very, very unfortunate to see there. We have Pampada, who haven't seen since the very beginning with a snap hero selection on the Gale Wing. And honestly, Gale Wing, I feel, is kind of an underrated hero here. The only tier list that I've seen from the community that places Gale Wing high has come from the Japanese community. I unfortunately can't remember whose it was, but I was surprised to see that they put it as high as B or A at the time. I think this was before the friend of a friend meta, though, but buddies were definitely in. And I thought that the buddy from Gale Wing just speeding up the flight path by 1 turn was difficult to use, but we see here Panpada made very good use out of it, got a pretty good demon setup, is really only missing a Fellbat, and that's the direction sold. However, he's in the danger zone and there's still no damage cap, so everyone's in the danger zone.
I want to point out that his hero power, he's used the flight path that reduces leveling by 5, as opposed to using the flight path that gives you a minion of your tavern tier, which is more common to use on our servers. So maybe that's what they've discovered on APAC, is just using Gale Wing more for leveling and going for that 5 every turn, or for 2 turns until you get to tier 6, and then using the flight path that gives you a minion of your tavern tier.
Yeah, Gale Wing is honestly so difficult to time correctly, because if your buddy comes 1 turn, oh my gosh, the Nadina didn't go off. That's huge for Pampada. But going back to what I was saying, sorry, if you get your buddy too late, you might get it on a turn where your flight path is already only 1 turn away from being completed, and then the buddy on that turn doesn't do anything huge. Snipe on the Sephon as well means that Pampada can very convincingly win the fight. This looks like a scam to me.
Yeah, he seems excited. I think this is probably a scam, and now we're going to see him being able to level to 6, as well as get a double triple into 6 drop with the Big Fernal on the board and his buddy. Oh, well, he might not level 6, but Fellbat is discovered. Ooh. With this Big Fernal. Can he get maybe an Imp Mama or another Fellbat? The problem with double Fellbat is it doesn't make double stats. It's not double stats until you triple it, unless you have only 3 demons. If you have only 3 demons, then you can eat the board twice. So he has to decide, do I want to just hold a Fellbat in hand, level, and try to find the triple early? Or do I want the stats out of Imp Mama so I have this big minion that can damage people early?
Yeah, it's very close, especially since he has that golden Big Fernal. That Imp Mama has additional value for every demon it summons, buffing that golden Big Fernal by +2/+2. But honestly, that Fellbat seems very late compared to what some of our players were doing. We said Bayu had the best setup to go for a good endgame comp here, and he absolutely has capitalized. It's a double Kalagos with a Bran. He is looking like the front runner in the lobby, and there's an Adina now as well. I don't think that Kurt can keep up with this.
Otto's like, you're going to want to see this, Gia. Let me show you some magic. Thank you, Soddle. Yeah, this is quite exciting. The buddy has been sold off, so he will no longer be fed 6 drops every turn, but he has double Caligos. He has double or a single Nadina and a Brand. I don't really think he needs more 6 drops because he's already tier 6, can go find him on his own. But the Golden Murazon is always so fun to watch. Very exciting turn. And we have the Presser Power Spawn to try to beat out Divine Shields that Mukla might have. And he does because of the Nadina.
And
the snipe, but keeping Nadina unkilled.
However, because both players had access to Pyro Spawn, I guess the Nadina not going or still going off there is not a huge deal. I think this is still going to be a very convincing one for Bayou. Simply too many stats on his side. Once the Divine Shields are factored out, it still comes out in favor of Bayou with the stat advantage here. I'm interested on how he is going to use the open slot though, or which minion he would rather sell to get the open slot to keep playing Battle Cries, because he does have a spare Nadina in hand, but the Murazon also is a lot smaller than the other dragons, and having double Nadina can be very powerful, but maybe not this early on.
Yeah, so good position for Be Nice, though he probably was decently scared with someone dying so early in the lobby. That can be a little bit detrimental to Daryl once they face someone who has popped off and they're about to face Galewing, who we know has double Fellbat, possibly triple Fellbat by now. So definitely needs to get to dancing. Has danced on 2 minions, looking to dance on that third Glyph Guardians. And he knows he's still on tier 3. That's to allow him to dance as much as possible, selling out all of these minions and just focusing on minions that can give him a lot of stats. So this Glyph Guardian will get double attack when they attack, which works out nice for him. But is it enough compared to how much the lobby has grown? If I look at this board and think that he's going to have to face these Nadina Caligos players soon, he's obviously dodged them from now, right?
Yeah, that's right. I love the point you brought up about the Daryl being ideal to stay around tier 3, because on tier 3 there's 4 minions in the shop, right? Which means that at 10 gold you can buy 3 of them and perfectly isolate the one that you want to buff, and you don't waste any of the buffs from the dances as long as you are able to buy those other 3 first. We have here a decently statted board, but again, we haven't really seen just how much the scaling has worked out for Ponpada so far. I would honestly be a bit scared for Be Nice here, and the high stats on the Selfless Hero might come back to bite him. If there's a small taunt in the way, he might not get the Divine Shield on time.
Yeah, I mean, he did take in a ghoul on the other side for Ponpada, but it doesn't look like it's gonna be enough, even with the poison, even with the tech of the ghoul. It looks like Be Nice will convincingly take this one.
Yeah, breakpoint on the Glyph Guardian, absolutely huge, just surviving at 1. But still, Ponpada's alive here. Being at 5 or 7 is effectively the same at this point in the game. So he will really have to get something big cooking later on. Ken on the Syndragosa has managed to leverage that early stats from the hero power to get to an Amalgadon brand position here. He's played it, like you were saying, how most people would approach a Greybao, maybe, of just getting early stats and then using those to power level.
Yes, I love seeing the Amalgadons. I'm sure Hoff on the other side is wishing he had those Amalgadons so he could splitting image them, and not going to be enough to knock that ice block off the head of Hoff. So we still have top 7 here. We're going to see what can we do with this comp. We have so many golden minions. Terragosa just growing from the the trickster that's now dead. And now a Caligos.
Honestly, I thought Ken was already on tier 6 here. I confess I didn't look to the left side of the screen where we could have that information, but that means he hit Amalgadons off of his triples, and one of them was a perfect one with the Divine Shield and Poison with the Bran. Some pretty good stuff here. Has the Seafood Slinger and now a pretty good target for it. I was honestly looking at the Sephin, but he goes for Golden Tad instead for more economy.
Yeah, I think you can just end on the Sephin because he only needs 1 divine or 1 poison. But yeah, I was looking at the same thing as well. My instinct was to golden the Sephin, but then this play definitely makes sense. Looking at the triples, not really much what he's going for, but Fellbat does have synergy with the Amalgadons, and Zap could be a good tech. We know that Vol'jin usually has really big attack minions, but not very big health minions, so a Zap could just take one out. And we see over here Pampada going crazy with the brand, trying to get as much scale and money as possible. Oh, and he found his triple Fellbat.
Did, but the scaling from Felbat is really outclassed by some of the other people in this lobby are doing. And unfortunately, this Amalgadon is not fixable. No mechs in the lobby, so you can't just stick a Divine Shield on it. Because of that, Pampada realizing he needs to play around Divine Shield himself, has that Ghoul to try and win the next fight, but it depends where the Nadina goes. Okay, Nadina not dead, so not a complete disaster, but does Pampada have enough stats to win here? He needs value trades.
For those watching the Ken game, unsure of which minion he was going to pick, he did end up picking that Fellbat that we talked about. And it looks like here Pampada is going to save himself and knock out our Mukla. Kurt is going down this turn. Not sure if anyone's going down with him. Oh, it does look like Ken goes out.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Ken had a pretty good setup in the late game with the double Amalgadons, right?
Yeah.
Wait, I'm confused. Ken, but we have Galewing on screen.
This is...
Okay, we'll get that fixed. I'm pretty sure this is Pampada right now. Skips on the Smogger. He doesn't value stats on the Amalgadon. What do you think he should be searching for at this point? Like some selflesses, maybe?
Yeah, because you can't find Divine Shield using mechs because they aren't in. And oh, we're looking over at Babofau here. He has these ginormous selfless heroes. What is this? Oh my gosh, it's beautiful.
Yeah. He's just turned them into poison minions, essentially, because nobody in this lobby has gone for like huge stats. It's quite hard to do that without pirates in. Effectively, if you get over 100 attack here, that's poison. Nobody has minions with higher than 100 health, it feels like. So Babofat has put together a poison scam comp with a Zap on top of it. No cleaves, but with that Baron and the selfless pair. Next turn, he is very likely to hit a triple on one of those, and he could be a runaway favorite for the lobby. He has so much health as well, so even if he loses the next fight, I think it's still very winnable to win the war.
And look, there's Pampada. We found him. Played on the Gale Wing. He has a triple on the board with also Seafood Slinger in hand. So couldn't buy the triple. Seafood Slinger, the Bagurgle for stats. Although he only has 2 Murlocs right now, but can discover way more using these triples. I think that's definitely what he's trying to get into. We need more Amalgadons, more poisons to defeat the lobby. But the scary thing too is like,
oh, it lived.
Did he eat it?
I don't think he did. I think it stayed.
He wasn't even watching. He was taking his jacket off, so I don't know if he knows that he didn't eat it. Or like if he knew to watch for it, because it's this very scary moment of like, am I going to eat the minion?
I know. You often get in that position if you don't have enough gold, which is why I was going to say I'm surprised he didn't buy it on the spot, because he did still have Murlocs to sell out of to get the 777, but maybe he doesn't really value the triple that much. There's not much else that needed to be poisoned here, but yes, it survived. And now he faces Be Nice on the Daryl. One thing I want to point out is that Pampada here has had this Ghoul not permanently on his board, but he's had it the last couple of fights because he's just kind of been cycling in and out of it. Ghoul as a tier 2 minion is very easy to find multiple copies of throughout the game. It's a very weird way that it comes in and out of the comp like that, but he knows that since he has no Divine Shield, he has to tech that in so he can go toe-to-toe with the Divine Shield players, especially since he's leaning more into a big stats / poison comp.
Yeah, so decides to get out of the Ghoul now, but has one generously in hand. Isn't finding more Murlocs for the Seafood Slinger, which I'm sure he's a bit disappointed with, but finds another Seafood Slinger. That's not exactly what he wanted.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just missing.
And this is like a pretty low stat shop to eat, so he might just take another roll to maybe get the Felbat to buff his minions even more. But returning to Babofat's perspective, yesterday we did talk about how he was one of the players that maybe struggled taking first places, but this absolutely looks like a first place setup to me. Something is clicking today, the hero selection perhaps, or maybe just a more bold play style, knowing that it's down to the final 8. There's an interesting option of Prester's Pyro Spawn, but he only only has one dragon here, so passes up on it. There's really no board space here. I do agree that it should just be hard rolling to get the triple on the Selfless or the Baron.
Yeah, finds the Defender of Argus, which is important to protect the Baron, but needs to find a way to get it in. Ends up selling the Zap for it, which, you know, if he doesn't need Zap, that's totally fair. And is able to get some last minute plays, finds a Deadly Spore, but I was going to buff up the Cleave. A little bit of gold wasted, but did what was important for the turn, which is what you need to focus on.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate, but could have had an additional Quillbar. I don't know which of these minions have gems on them, but I'm always interested in Necrolite as Vol'jin because you can do the thing of swapping the stats and then buffing the minion that gained the stats by also putting the gems on it.
Yep, and we do have confirmation that the Scamizarak over there still has his ice block, so looking pretty safe for Hoff on the secret hero, but Pampada out in 5th place.
That's pretty rough. I didn't think that Be Nice on the Daryl was, you know, particularly strong at the moment, but we saw that he has very cleverly transitioned into a poison comp. As Daryl, you just want to try and stay big stats in the early to mid game, and then as people are outscaling you, that's when you try and tech in some poisons, and that's absolutely what Be Nice has gone for. And he hit the triple selfless. That means that there's 7 selflesses in play in this lobby at the moment, maybe more. We have Hoff and Balbofat on the Vol'jin, both looking for the triple.
Yeah, and we just saw Hoff did lose his ice block, so it finally did go away for him. So he's looking for a miracle to stay alive. He is facing off first Elise, so he's reading Dragons 4 right now, 5. So has that inkling in hand that like, yo, I'm going to be facing a Nadina as well. What can I do to defeat these massive dragons, Nadina, knowing that Bayou's been on tier 6 for a very long time?
Yeah, this looks like a very difficult setup to beat if you don't have poison / a ghoul of your own to go off after the Nadina has gone off, and it's very hard to make everything go in the right order. But with the Golden Street Performer and Baron, all things are possible here. So that's all right. You could just get
all the poison. The 1/1 can defeat 100 easily, though Hoff did lose his ice blocks to a ghost in the last turn, which you hate to hear that he lost to the ghost to lose the ice block, but hopefully he can come back and win this turn with his tech that he's decided on.
Okay, big 50-50 for Hoff's attack here. There was a Acolyte of Cthulhu teched in here to maybe make sure that the Street Performer doesn't die so early and maybe you can kill the Baron before it, but the Performer went into the bigger minion, so now Hoff gets all the secrets. We're reading a lot of Paladin secrets, and he kind of whiffs on one of the Hunter 1 Snake Trap, really not useful in this instance. And the Divine Shield that you get from Auto Defense Matrix, honestly not that great here too because of that Pressure Pyro spawn.
And it's finally Daryl's turn to go out. We say Daryl's a top 4 hero, and look at that. Daryl getting a 3rd, 4th place, tying with the secret hero, which that fight will be going on for a very, very, very long time. But we do have some caster insight, knowing what's about to go down in an hour or so. I'm not quite sure the timing, but this will take a while.
We're almost there, and that last Paladin secret is a competitive spirit, not useful whatsoever here, so that will be, you know, Hoff going out as well. We are down to Bayou and Babofat. We have the big dragons versus, you know, I want to say essentially just poison scam. That's what Vol'jin is, right? Because high attack and very little health.
Oh, he got it!
He got it, but he's facing a Pyro Spawn comp, so is that enough? If there's a world where he can snipe the Pyro Spawn before Nadina goes off, let's say he hits a Zap from this triple, but the Pyro Spawn's huge as well, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the Pyro Spawn's been growing with the Caligos for quite some time. So I think this is likely the end of the road for Babofat, but, you know, I still want to see his board pop off. With such low health minions, Vol'jin is really susceptible to things like Mechano Tank and Soul Juggler, but obviously that's not what our opponents are doing because there's no mechs. But yeah, I think this will likely just be the end of the road.
I thought he was going to play the mythical double Baron board. I was so excited. We do see that Babofat has sold out of his buddy. I think that's the right call at this point. He's got enough stats that the attack on his minions can challenge the health on anything else in play. But like you said, there's no great way to beat the Pyro spawn at the moment, which is going to shave off all of the shields that he gets from the Selfless hero. And also his only pseudo cleave of the Wildfire Elemental just going straight into the Divine Shield, not getting that much value is a bummer. However, still doing pretty well here. Okay, it's a win.
Yeah. I was writing him off. I was, it's not going to happen. But Babofat, I think I might have got to him when I was joking that he can't get first places. He took it to heart and he said, I'm going to show Slissa what's up. I'm going to get a first place with Vol'jin while staying on tier 1 for till 8 gold. Getting the win.
Yeah, that Chroma Wing was being very shy, but showed itself at the last possible moment, and Babofat absolutely capitalized. Well-deserved victory there, making it work even without the mechs in or cleaves in for Vol'jin, which are generally the insta-win recipe ingredients for Vol'jin comps. However, big story here is that we have 2 ties in our first lobby, Be Nice and Hoff, and then Ken and Kurt. And we have Collins with no points, unfortunately, which is very, very scary to be in. But keep in mind, this is the check format. So as long as the points across the rest of the board even out, as long as there's no player truly running away with it, Collins still has quite a lot of time to recover.
Yep, he has time to get to that 20 points. And because maybe someone puts the lobby in check before him, players will be targeting that person and giving him an opportunity to get up to that 20 points as well. So we still will likely have many games to go today. Possibly 4 games, possibly 11 games. We're not sure. It's going to be either a long or a short day. We're hoping for a long one, though.
Yes, myself included, even though it is not early here whatsoever. I'm just such a big fan of Battlegrounds action. It's an honor to be part of the first ever official open qualification Hearthstone Battlegrounds esports event, and all our players here are feeling that same pressure, I'm sure. Slissa Ponpada here, one of our most expressive players on camera, just taking those deep breaths and sighs of relief every time he takes a fight. Every combat here matters. But I have to imagine that for Collins in particular, this was an excruciating one. He died, what, 3-4 turns before the next person, and he just had to sit there and wait.
Yeah, it was probably one of those games we didn't get to see him a lot, but it was one of those games where you just face someone who popped off every turn. You just get the bad cues every turn. You face someone who just got their power spike and likely just took way too much damage, unfortunately, as he tried to level with his hero. But he has plenty of time to make it up. And as we can see, this beautiful Vol'jin win with a very unlikely board of no mechs, no cleaves, just pure skill out of Babofat.
Right, and looking at it again, that last minute, last spot taken by the Imprisoner, pretty much genius from Babofat, because he knew that there would very likely be an Adina on the other side. So having a taunt to shave off a shield on one of the big minions on the other side kind of just works out net in his favor, because some of his shields were being taken off by the Pyro spawn instead, and he had to come up with his own way of ghouling them away without actually playing a ghoul to wreck his own board. And those last minute taunts of Imprisoner, Void Lord, Acolyte of Cthulhu can very much be included in endgame comps for that reason. Very close fight on the first game. Slissa, any last thoughts before we give our players a bit of a rest?
No, not yet. Just excited for the final or the upcoming games.
All right, that is just the first game of what could possibly be a very long day ahead of us. So right after this break, do not go anywhere. We'll be back with game number 2.